The Galactic Council chamber erupted in what could only be described as cosmic laughter when Earth's representative, Ambassador Sarah Chen, announced humanity's intention to contribute military forces to the Coalition Defense Corps. "These humans," wheezed High Commander Vextari, his forearms gesticulating wildly as methane leaked from his breathing apparatus in what passed for amusement among the Kethmori. "They have no natural armor, no venom sacs, no electromagnetic pulse organs. Their lifespans are pathetically brief, and they've barely mastered interstellar travel." The Zephyrian delegate's crystalline form chimed in harmonious mockery. "Our preliminary scans show their soldiers carry primitive kinetic weapons and rely on external armor that can be pierced by a motivated Rigelian larvae." Even the normally diplomatic Centauri ambassador allowed his tentacles to ripple with mirth. "Perhaps they could serve as entertainment. Their war films suggest they have vivid imaginations about combat effectiveness." Ambassador Chen maintained her composure, her expression betraying nothing as the laughter subsided. "We accept your assessment," she said quietly. "However, we respectfully request permission to demonstrate our capabilities during the upcoming siege of Kepler 442b. The Council exchanged glances, or the equivalent among species with compound eyes, electromagnetic sensors and psychic tendrils. The Kepler system had been under assault by the Devourers for 3 cycles now. Every major military force had failed to break the siege. What harm could a few human soldiers do? "Granted," rumbled Chancellor Drakmore, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. "For our amusement, if nothing else." 3 weeks later, the Coalition fleet hung in space around Kepler 442b like a collection of dying stars. The planet's surface crawled with devourer hives, their biomechanical structures pulsing with malevolent energy. 7 major assault waves had been repelled. The Coalition had lost 47 capital ships and thousands of elite warriors. That's when the human transport vessels arrived. They were unremarkable ships, utilitarian, scarred, and small compared to the massive dreadnoughts of other species. But as the landing craft descended toward the planet's surface, something changed in the cosmic background chatter. The humans didn't communicate on standard military frequencies. Instead, their channels crackled with something the aliens had never heard before. The voices of those who had seen too much and lived to speak of it. "Echo 7 to ground control," came a gravelly voice. "Landing zone looks hot, just like Fallujah all over again. Copy that, Echo 7. Bravo Company is moving to support. These bugs ain't got nothing on Kandahar. Overlord, this is Charlie 6. My boys have been waiting 70 years to pay back some aliens. Today seems like a good day." The alien commanders monitoring the communications exchanged confused glances. These humans spoke of conflicts from their past, wars that predated their space travel by decades. But there was something in their voices, a quality that made even battle-hardened Rigelian shock troops pause. Experience. Unbroken, unflinching experience. As the human forces deployed, the Coalition watched in growing bewilderment. These weren't fresh recruits or career space marines. These were old humans, ancient by their species standards, with weathered faces and movements that spoke of countless battles on 100 forgotten worlds. The first engagement came within minutes of landing. A devourer horde swarmed from their hive complex, their chitinous forms gleaming with bioluminescent threat displays. The aliens in orbit prepared to witness the swift annihilation of the human forces. Instead, they witnessed precision incarnate. The humans moved like they had been born for this moment, veterans of Earth's bloodiest conflicts, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Syria, the water wars, the corporate conflicts, men and women in their 70s and 80s whose bodies might be failing but whose minds remained sharp as Damascus steel. "Contact front." The voice belonged to Marcus Webb, 83 years old, veteran of 4 major conflicts. His neural implant compensated for arthritic fingers as he laid down suppressing fire with surgical precision. "Rodriguez, take your squad left. Thompson, you're with me. Just like Mosul people, the Devourers, accustomed to facing enemies who relied on strength or speed or exotic weapons, found themselves confronting something entirely alien to them. Tactical brilliance born from necessity, refined through suffering and perfected through survival. The humans didn't charge. They didn't rely on superior firepower or advanced technology. Instead, they demonstrated something the galaxy had never seen: the art of asymmetric warfare elevated to a science. They used the terrain like lovers, Reading elevation and cover with eyes that had learned geography was the difference between life and death. They set traps that would have impressed a Machiavellian merchant, turning the devourer's own biotechnology against them. They moved with the patience of those who had learned that victory belonged not to the swift, but to the smart. And when they spoke, their words carried the weight of accumulated wisdom. Ramirez, remember to flank them from the industrial sector. Johnson, set up that crossfire like we did in Aleppo. Patterson, your demo skills. Think about those IEDs in Helmand. Each human carried within them the institutional memory of a species that had been at war with itself for millennia. Every tactic, every strategy, every hard-learned lesson from humanity's bloodiest chapters had been preserved, studied, and perfected. The Devourers, for the first time in recorded galactic history, began to retreat. Within 6 hours, the human forces had established a beachhead. Within 12, they had broken the primary hive complex. Within 18, they had systematically dismantled the entire Devourer presence on Kepler 442b. The Coalition fleet watched in stunned silence as the aged human warriors regrouped at their landing zones, many of them requiring medical assistance for joints worn by decades of service, but all of them standing. Ground control to Fleet Command, came Marcus Webb's voice over the communication array. Kepler 4042b is secure. Devourer forces neutralized, ready for extraction. Chancellor Drakmore's massive form trembled as he opened a direct channel. Human warriors, and how? The response came not from Webb, but from another voice. Admiral Patricia Hayes, 91 years old, veteran of the Resource Wars and Earth's first space conflicts. Chancellor, when your species developed faster than light travel, you stopped fighting each other. When you mastered energy weapons, war became simple. When you achieved abundance, you forgot what desperation teaches. Her voice carried across the void like judgment itself. Humanity spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other with rocks and sticks and whatever we could find. We learned every lesson war could teach, paid for it with blood, and remembered it all. These veterans you see before you, they carry the accumulated tactical knowledge of our entire species' violent history. The communication channel fell silent, except for the steady breathing of old soldiers who had proven once again that experience trumps everything. The galaxy never laughed at human soldiers again. From that day forward, when Coalition forces faced impossible odds, there was a new saying that spread across 1,000 worlds: call the human veterans. And in the depths of space, old warriors smiled with satisfaction, knowing that their wars, all of them, the just and unjust alike, had finally found their purpose in protecting a galaxy that had never known such dedication forged in such fire. The students had become the teachers, and the lesson was silence,